Let's turn our attention right now back to what we're following as the government, a partial shutdown continues, stretching now into its second day. It will likely go into day 3 and 4, that being on Monday and Tuesday, as the House potentially expected to vote. We'll see if the Republicans have enough after this minor 2-week stopgap funding bill passed through the Senate to see if there will be additional reins put on the Department of Homeland Security and some of those immigration enforcement. Live picture right now, a pretty one at the U.S. Capitol building here on Live Now from Fox. The Senate approved that legislation to fund each of the remaining government agencies through the end of the fiscal year in September, while also agreeing to that 2-week stopgap bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox to discuss what we know and what we should expect this week. Let's be joined right now by Steve Cotton, president of Cotton Wealth Management Associates, also a former senior legislative assistant there in Washington, D.C. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we're just expecting a short shutdown, a partial one right now. Heading into a new week, are you optimistic that this time frame the GOP has is a go?
Well, I am cautiously optimistic. The House will come back into session tomorrow. Speaker Johnson has first item of business is to pass the rule which governs how the bill will be taken up. And it just requires a simple majority of Republicans to vote to support and pass the rule. Right now, the Republicans are 218 to 214 Democrats, and I expect the rule to pass. But the larger question is what kind of negotiations the Speaker is going to have to engage in, and the White House with the House Republicans, or the House Democrats, because the Democrats want to impose some restrictions on ICE going forward. Now, ironically, most of the ICE operations were already funded in the One Big Beautiful Bill passed this summer. So this fight is not so much over funding as it is the Democrats' effort to add in some amendments to restrict ICE, to require body cameras, things like that, require them not to wear masks. And I think the Republicans might go along with requiring body cameras, because if you talk to the law enforcement community, some of them are actually in favor of that, because oftentimes it'll defend the officer's actions, and it will show how unruly the person they were dealing with was. But I think some of the other restrictions are going to have a hard time to pass, and there are Republicans that are going to want to propose additional conditions themselves, such as no sanctuary cities, et cetera. So we're going to see some legislative battles over amendments on both sides, but I think most of this is Democratic posturing for their constituencies.
Yeah, that is potentially true as we're seeing what demands are made. You mentioned that slim margin. It might not matter what the Democrats want in the House to get this through there. Are we looking at the same players? Because we talked about defectors on the GOP side that Speaker Mike Johnson has had to deal with before in terms of other legislation. We've seen the likes of Representative Thomas Massie. We've seen Tim Burchett. Is it the same set of characters to watch this time?
Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is no longer a member. She resigned, so that takes out one of the unpredictable Republican members that's bedeviled the Speaker. I think Hakeem Jeffries has been very successful at keeping the Democrats unified in all of their legislative and political initiatives. The Republicans, not so much. The Republicans are like herding a room of cats. And some of them are more hardcore than others. But I think Speaker Johnson, really, his hair is a lot grayer now than it used to be, but he's really done a remarkable job of keeping the Republicans fairly unified.
That is so very true. And we'll see what happens. That rule vote's a little bit in question, but then the House vote gives them a little bit of extra days as well. We're talking about this being a 2-week stopgap. So once it gets through the House, if it gets through the House on Tuesday, they have 2 weeks to negotiate. How much of an embittered battle will that be to try to get something done in terms of ICE? Because you mentioned other lawmakers before saying there's already funding for ICE. There's already funding for body cam. They're putting different accountability layers in terms of this. Over that 2 weeks, what do we expect?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I'm more concerned about the rank and file government employees This puts at risk TSA operations. It puts at risk our air traffic controllers once again. And this has a very damaging effect on federal employee morale and operations. And it's terrible. It's a terrible practice to shut down the government for political reasons. In the past, there have been times when the Republicans did it. The Democrats have been doing it more lately. But it's like a sledgehammer when you really need a scalpel, and it's a terrible tactic. It is just damaging to the federal workforce, and it puts at risk the safety of the flying public. And I just think that's a lose-lose deal for both parties if it goes long. I don't think it will go long. I think they will get this resolved. But Hakeem Jeffries in the House has seen Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, come under incredible criticism for going along with the Republicans not to shut down the government, which was the time before last. And I think he is wary of getting a challenge from his left too. And so that's why you're seeing some of this. But at the end of the day, this government has to run and has to work, and we've got to quit putting at risk our good federal employees.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And we saw it last time with the longest shutdown in U.S. history and just how it had real impacts on real people not getting a paycheck for more than a month. In terms of this, it's only going to be a short one, but do you expect to see real impacts on average Americans, or just a 72-hour time frame? It's negligible.
I think both sides will, but despite the public posturing, I think both sides will come to some kind of an agreement. And I don't think it'll take all 2 weeks.
All right, very good. Steve Cotton, thank you so much. I appreciate your time here on Live Now from Fox. We'll see what happens over the next few days there on Capitol Hill. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.